G'day ladies and gents, and welcome back to War Thunder. Today, we're going to be asking the question of the MiG-19. What is the question of the MiG-19, do you ask? Well, that question is it obsolete in War Thunder? Obviously, it's obsolete in real life because we wouldn't be, running MiG-19s, and we aren't. Well, the J6A in this case, or the, Chinese copy of the MiG-19P, this particular plane is, some would say, outdated. Some would say that this plane doesn't fit the meta anymore, and you would be somewhat correct. This plane doesn't quite live up to the way it did last year. When it was meta, it was dominant. It was purely dominant, as well as the F-100D, which, in my opinion, was a lot easier to fly. Now, it sort of seems the other way around, where the MiG-19 is less suffering than the F-100D. So, for those of you who have recently unlocked your F-100, I don't recommend flying it. It's pure suffering at the moment. Wait till something else comes out that changes the meta, changes the battle ratings. Maybe wait for some VR decompression. However, for now, we're going to have a look at the MiG-19, and in this case the J6A. Have a look at that marketplace camo. That is absolutely gorgeous. But regardless, back to the conversation. I want to know what you guys think as well, so do let me know, do be respectful, present your ideas thoughtfully, and don't just sort of blab them out. Have a think, use the noggin. But this particular game, in my opinion, kind of shows you what the MiG-19 is capable of in War Thunder. This isn't a particularly high kill game, but it does, in my opinion, demonstrate exactly what I need to show you guys. The MiG-19 is no longer the primary jet. That is the MiG-21 SMT and the MF, as well as the Phantom FGR-2. Hopefully next patch we'll get some proper equivalents to the MiG-21 SMT and MF, because in my opinion the Phantom FGR-2 doesn't quite hold the same value as a MiG-21 SMT. Might make a video on that, but we'll have to wait and see. That is an F-86 F-35. Someone's up-tiered that, and someone's up-tiered that G91R4 as well. But have a look at the performance. I feel like there's something up with this particular MiG-19. I feel like it's got its old flight model. I feel like it doesn't quite accelerate as much as the MiG-19 PT in the Soviet tech tree. I don't quite know what it is. Maybe it's a bug. Maybe it's intentional. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong entirely. Someone do let me know if they have any information on that. But you can see the G91R here is, hello. And I miss, which shows you how out of practice I am with the plane that, I really, really enjoyed back in the day. It's only a year ago. But yeah, here I am thinking that I can just hold all this energy against the G91, and it's sort of keeping up with me in a turn fight, and that has me a little bit, it had me thinking a little bit. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Regardless, I still suck with the aiming, and this is something that you really have to get used to with all MiG-19s. MiG-19s rely on that sort of aiming, but I wouldn't go and try and get lots of early kills really quickly. I would leave that to the MiG-21s. I would start off by not quite baiting, but drawing out fighters. Draw out one or two enemies, and these enemies will sometimes follow you, sometimes they'll give up, and then you have a teammate come and take it off your six. There goes a nice big missile heading towards me, and then I quickly and easily dodge it. At the same time, of course, you do want to be using yourself to your maximum potential. I'm going to get myself off a cheeky missile on this T2. Try and get that lock, and that looks pretty good, actually. But let's see. And I don't think it came to any fruition. The missiles on this plane are garbage. They are only the R3S, or the K-13, or whatever you want to call it. They're not good missiles. This plane relies on its guns, and that's kind of the charm of it. It relies on its guns and performance, which means that it is a very hard plane to use in this meta, because everyone else will be using missiles and performance, which is, in my opinion, a bit better. But do keep this in mind. This plane is deadly. It is still extremely deadly. The more you see the MiG-19 in a battle, the more you'll come to learn that the MiG-19 is indeed still somewhat relevant. It's not meta. It's not the best. It's worse than it used to be. But it's not totally useless. The MiG-19 is one of those planes that gets better as time goes on. The more a MiG-19 is in the battle and is alive, the deadlier it becomes. Why is that, do you ask? Because, very simple. It doesn't have much ammo, and so it doesn't have the endurance of something like an F4 Phantom. It has got fuel, and it has enough fuel endurance, but the guns and the weapon systems are really, really good for one-on-one engagements, and really, really bad for 15 on 15. So the moment that you the moment that you can thin out those numbers and get 1v1s is where the MiG-19 shines. And of course, 1v1s don't really come by too often in this tier, especially due to the map size. MiG-21 is nice and slow, and this is where the other part comes in. Against MiG-21s, you can keep a surprising amount of energy over them. Have a look at this footage right here. Mitsubishi T2, MiG-21, G91, and MiG-19. The G91 shouldn't be here, so we'll discount that. T2 is slow. Have a look at the opportunities that I'm given here with this T2 being slow. The MiG-19S goes and cleans it up. The MiG-21 is being harassed by another MiG-21, and so they have no choice but to be slow. This gives the MiG-19s the opportunity, with their much better acceleration in a straight line, an opportunity to make some kills. This is where the MiG-19 shines. It is the ultimate MiG-21 killer. It is also decent against the Phantom, but you can see that here. This Phantom he's going to come vertical with me. But because, MiG things, I'm able to turn away. The MiG-19 is lighter. It's smaller. It's in some ways it is better, but obviously the Phantom is faster. Regardless, this is something that you've got to keep in mind. You've got to keep your energy above your opponents. You've got to play for the slow opponents. You've got to select your targets, and you've got to be efficient with your ammunition. There's no two ways about it. This plane is a hard plane to fly. Not only is it a hard plane to fly, it's also in a matchmaker that doesn't really benefit it as well. However, that doesn't render it completely useless. It is still extremely deadly. And with a bit of practice, with a bit of patience, with a bit of time, you will, and I ensure you, you will get some value out of this plane. It'll be worth it. It'll be definitely a plane that you can continue to come back to. And that is simply for that reason. It is extremely deadly in 1v1s. You can see this MiG-19S here is a little bit slow, and this allows me to come in and go for kills. It's just beautiful. It's just the way it works. The MiG-19 is extremely finicky. It has its quirks, and it is not the perfect plane that you might hope it to be. But it certainly fares a lot better in situations where there are fewer enemies than it does where there are lots. Almost got the reversal there. But I'm a bit out of practice. This F4 Phantom here is slow, and that's kind of what I need. But this MiG-19S, oh boy, he's hot on my heels, and what I need to do is use my flaps. This plane is extremely competent in situations where there are few enemies. You can see here, I'm in a beautiful 1v1 with this MiG-19S, and boom, I get a beautiful reversal. There it is. The slow speed is where the MiG-19S shines. Although you don't see those speeds early on in the battle, try and stay alive as much as you can. Try and keep your teammates alive as much as you can. And trust me, you will see the value of the MiG-19. It gets better as time goes on. It gets better as the match evolves and deteriorates. You can see I managed to pull 2 kills, all in the last 3 minutes of the match. You can see the value of the MiG-19 now, I hope. It's not an easy plane to fly. It is certainly not as good as it used to be. But it is certainly not completely useless. Even the cheap Chinese ripoff, I can't remember where it was made, but it is one of the Chinese provinces. It's quite interesting, actually. They name instead of having aircraft brands like, Grumman, Northrop, North American, this sort of thing, they name their planes by the city it was built in, which I really like that idea. I think it's kind of cool, especially for a top-down economy. Sounds kind of reasonable, but I like it. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that is the MiG-19. I hope you enjoyed. Take care, and I'll catch you next time.